everybody loves your predictions. They get shared across Facebook, across Twitter.
They're fun.
Yeah, and they're usually pretty good.
I do all right.
You do okay. I'm just guessing. I say you hit about 70%.
Yeah.
So it's that time of year again.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
What are your predictions for 2013?
So I'm going to make 10 new bold predictions. Some of them are controversial, and you don't know what any of them are yet.
I do not.
But you're going to introduce each one. So I'm actually going to feed them through you via Google Chat.
It's true. I have no idea what any of these predictions are.
So you have no idea what any of them are until I send them to you.
Okay, I got the first one here. Send it just to me. Zip right over the interwebs.
Bam.
Number 1, social media marketing rebirth. What's that mean?
Here's what social media marketing rebirth means. It's really not uncommon for new radical concepts to really get overhyped and then fall into disfavor and then only to emerge later stronger and refocused. That's going to happen to social media in 2013. You're going to see marketers fall out of love with social media, and then it's going to be reborn as something else. And that trend has already started. It's not going to live up to any of the hype, and by most accounts it has not, at least social media marketing wise. And it's going to fall out of favor with marketers, and you're going to see a lot of news coverage about this not being what we thought. And then just as quickly, within a few months, it's going to completely flip-flop around, and the purpose of social media marketing and the purpose of businesses communicating using social media will be refocused and stronger and better than ever. And in essence, the conversation will change to the conversation that I've been having for some time now, which is social media is more, it's a relationship building tool, it's a lead nurturing tool, it's part of the customer life cycle, management. It's not a lead generation tool. And the hype says tons of new people are going to find me and they're going to fall in love with me here, and that's not what social media is even for, and it hasn't lived up to that hype. And this is the year that that's going to be realized.
So you think they're going to predict the death of social media marketing?
Yes.
And it's just going to be reborn as something
else.
Exactly what it should be utilized
Correct.
for. Okay.
Exactly. In essence, the CMO world at large will flip the switch and recognize it for what it actually is, instead of all the hype and sex appeal that's been assigned to it so far.
And is that because it's slowly making its way into now a more standard marketing tool?
I don't think so. I think it's mostly because you have two things going on. You have the marketing world at large, or I'll call the agency world or the CMO world, and those are brand marketers. And they have this huge hype and all this really sexy message about, there are so many people on social media, so your brand has to be there, and people are going to be attracted to you and love you, and you're going to be amazing, and it's going to be wonderful. And then there's going to be rainbows and glitter, and everyone's going to make $1 billion.
Unicorns.
Yeah. And that hasn't really happened, because that's not what social media does. I mean, I ask people all the time, I say, okay, when was the last time you signed into Facebook and found 60 new friend requests from perfect strangers simply dying to get to know you?
I think the question is, when was the last time I signed out of Facebook?
Okay, so most people acknowledge that isn't really realistic. That's not what happens. Well, that doesn't happen to businesses either. So they're going to start to realize this. And on the other hand, you have people who come from a direct response school. You have agencies like ours. You have thought leaders like Infusionsoft, and you have other people who are really talking about what, in essence, are really old school direct response techniques. Old school, and what I mean by that is direct response is the oldest game in the book. It's going to feel new again because the tools are different, but it's the oldest game in the book. And when I first started in media, I was using direct mail and I was using phone, and now I'm just using a lot of web and social and email. But the underlying strategy hasn't changed. So those two things are going to converge, and those direct response people are going to do the shaking of the shoulders and say, guys, you're missing the point. Social media didn't live up to all this stuff you assigned to it, but it's really good at all this stuff we're doing. So you should do that too. That's what's going to happen in 2013.
Number 2. This one's a little bold.
A little
Oh,
controversial.
my. Oh, I did not expect this.
Bam, that just happened.
Wow. Number 2. Foursquare gets sold.
It's out of there.
Who's buying it?
This is a compound prediction because I will predict who's going to buy it. I have 4 possible buyers lined up in my mind. In my mind.
You're selling
in
it,
my
you
mind.
don't know it.
And this is in order. These buyers are in order. The first most likely buyer is
Number 1.
Facebook.
Facebook. I could see that.
The second most likely buyer is Apple.
Can't really see that.
The third most likely buyer is Microsoft.
Could see that.
And the fourth most likely buyer is Yahoo.
Yahoo. They're still in the game, aren't they?
They're in the game.
They're
twitching, but in the game. So Foursquare is going to get sold. Foursquare is reinventing itself right now. So I'll turn this into an additional compound prediction. And I'm going to say, mayorships and the badges, that's going to be so 2012. 2013 is going to be about getting location-based recommendations from people you actually know. That's what's going to happen in 2013. Foursquare they are going to be riding the white horse into that battle. They're going to be on the front lines of that battle. And their success in doing that is going to determine if the founder of Foursquare becomes a billionaire or a millionaire when that gets sold. But it will get sold before 2014.
That'll be interesting to see.
This next prediction, there's a lot of people predicting the opposite of what I'm predicting.
Ooh. Okay, number 3 then. This is a little bold too. A little bit, not as bold as the Foursquare, but number 3 is entrepreneurship booms.
Big time. Booms big time.
Is that because of and I'm wondering, are you making this prediction because of the state of the economy has been in, or what's the reason behind this?
Most of the people that are predicting that entrepreneurship flounders and takes a hit, they're predicting that because of the state of the economy. And they are right. The companies that they think are going to go under, that are entrepreneurial startups, they're going to go under. Those people are right. But what they're missing out on is something much, much bigger, in that the mindset and the things that are valued by people right now, young people who are between the ages of 18 and 25, they have a substantially more entrepreneurial mindset than other generations. And they're entering into the age group where creating entrepreneurial startups is on the table. The drive to create an entrepreneurial startup is completely not driven by the economy. If you think it is, you're completely missing the boat. It's much bigger than that, way bigger than that. These people who think like entrepreneurs, their authority to do what they want to do, it doesn't come from the government. It doesn't come from economic cues. It is not caused by any of that. 2013, you're going to see the number of entrepreneurial startups, small home businesses, and even, I'll dare say, mom and pop retail shops is going to increase radically. Radically.
I know from what I've read on this specific topic in the last few weeks was that a lot of people are saying because the economy is going down and it's almost in the tubes that a lot of people can't find work, so they just start their own jobs. And I think that's where they're
going to start their own jobs. You're totally right. And the people saying entrepreneurship is going to take a big hit in 2013, these are people who are looking at companies that have angel investing. They're looking at Y Combiner companies. They're looking at incubators. They're looking at companies,
really big, giant.
They're looking at companies that might be entrepreneurial ideas, but that still need $20 million a year just to stay there.
Not talking about Gary down the street opening his own auto garage.
Exactly. And you're going to see that happen a lot. Gary down the street is going to have 2 or 3 employees in 2013. And that company that has some cool invention that is getting $20 million a year in angel investing in Y Combiner funds, they're going to flounder, because they're going to need to put up or shut up. And most of those companies that are in incubation and in that stage, they don't have anything. They're not going to have a leg to stand on in a couple months.
I would say I'd have to agree with you on that prediction.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to go with you on that. I really like your 4th prediction here. This is really funny because we hear about it every year. And you're predicting that 2013 is the year that QR codes finally happen.
Yes.
Finally.
QR codes will happen in 2013, but it won't be where you think. You're going to see department stores, malls, even Walmart, they'll be littered with QR codes. And the reason for that is very simple. For the last year, we've been tracking the trend, how many people perform a search when they're in a store, at a point of sale, getting really close to making a buying decision, and they need that last confirmation, they need that last bit of research, they need that last star rating, that last recommendation, and they Google it in the store.
Yep.
So we've been seeing that trend increase.
Guilty.
Retailers are going to jump on that bandwagon and use QR codes to help control and channel that conversation. So next time you walk into a Macy's or you walk into another department store or even an auto parts retailer, you're going to see a display, whether it's for a new product or a sale item, with a giant QR code. See what others think, scan the code.
I've seen that recently on some of the bigger products like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and whatnot.
2013, you're going to see that every day.
On all products, like bigger products, small brand
All
products?
types of things, everything.
Wow.
Everything. You're going to see it from glue to toilets to paint to auto parts to clothing to food. You're going to see it.
I cannot wait until my daughter needs glitter for a school project and I can just check a QR code.
In a couple more years, you're going to see QR codes or some other scannable codes or maybe an NFC code instead of a price on the shelf.
See, I like the NFC. That needs to take off.
NFC is not going to be, 2013 is not the year for NFC.
No, it's really only available on the BlackBerry right now.
Yeah, it's really, we're in super early adopter for NFC, but QR codes do finally happen in 2013.
Number 5, this is a good one because I have heard a lot about this, and that is Facebook launching its own phone. And you say they do not.
They don't.
I would agree with you, but why?
This is something that people have said for years and years and years, that there's going to be a Facebook phone. A couple of years ago, before smartphones became mainstream, Motorola introduced a phone. In fact, they had a few phones that had a dedicated Facebook button. That's as close as we're ever going to get. Facebook still does not launch a phone in 2013, nor will they launch a phone. They don't view themselves as being in that market, and when Zuck tells me that, not that he called me and told me personally, yeah, he did.
Hey, Conrad Flynn, it's Zuck.
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. That's actually only what I call him. He doesn't like it.
And you refer to yourself in the third person.
I do.
So like, it's Conrad Flynn.
It's Conrad Flynn.
Says hello.
So when I talk to Zuck and he says, I have no intentions on launching a phone, I believe him 100%. Unlike when Steve Jobs says, I have no intentions on launching something, my prediction is that launches, that thing happens. He said, we have no intention on making a phone, and bam, phone. Like
6 months later,
6
here's
months
the
later.
phone.
We have no intention on making any device that ever interfaces with a TV, and like 2 weeks later, there's an Apple TV press conference. So, but when Zuck says no, he means no. There won't be a Facebook phone for a lot of reasons. They view themselves as an integrator and something that they bring to a cross-platform thing. They're not trying to control the platform. They're an integrator. So
well, if they were trying to control the platform, I mean, then you could get in and say, well, you know, the Android or BlackBerry or iPhone app is inferior, if it even exists.
It's not going to happen, but if it does happen, it will be because of my 6th prediction.
This one's iffy. Number 6, Facebook launches a mobile ads platform, and it's a twofer, and their stock rebounds.
And like I said, if they do launch a phone, it will be to support this effort. I don't think they'll launch a phone, but if they do, here's the reason. So Facebook, one of the biggest problems with Facebook shareholders right now is their ads platform, which is, it's pretty slick. The effectiveness of it is yet to be determined, but one of the biggest thorns in the side of shareholders right now, which is on some days, 40 to 60% of all Facebook usage is mobile, and that ads platform is not mobile.
No, it is.
It is not on any of the mobile Facebook applications, and it does not track users with the mobile Facebook. It doesn't gain any data. It doesn't display ads, nothing. There's no integration between the ads platform and the mobile platform whatsoever. 2013 is going to be the year they change that to their benefit, because as soon as they do, their stock's going to rebound big time. In fact, they might make it to halfway their opening day valuation.
Ooh.
Maybe
That's
halfway.
bold right there.
Maybe halfway.
You shouldn't go maybe. You should just go all in and
They'll
just say
go.
they're going to do it.
If they do that, if they launch the mobile ad platform, I think the stock will rebound, and I think it will get within 50% of their opening day valuation.
Ooh.
But it won't get to that rate if they don't hit the mobile ads platform.
That's pretty bold.
When they do that, they have to nail that out of the park.
That's BlackBerry bold.
It is bold.
Number 7 is a Google Plus one, which almost is always never talked about. Nobody likes Google Plus. And your prediction, number 7, Google Plus settles into a comfortable B2B niche.
So a few years ago, I predicted that Google's social efforts would tank. They did, but they also launched Google Plus in the same year. But a lot of other social efforts did go away. Google Wave, Buzz. So that stuff kind of went away just like that. But Google Plus sort of came out of those ashes. I don't think Google Plus is going to flounder or tank. I think they're on something solid right now, and I think it's going to settle into a really nice B2B niche in that in people's minds and recognition, they're going to view LinkedIn and Google Plus as sort of complementary. LinkedIn is going to be very professional networking, and Google Plus is going to be sort of the Facebook of the people you know professionally.
And the Google Hangout is awesome. We use that all the time.
And they just added sound effects.
Oh, they did.
Google Hangouts now have sound
drums.
effects. So if someone makes a joke, you can
applaud them with sound effects.
You can applaud them with sound effects.
So number 8 on your prediction list has to do again with web browsers, and this one I could tell you from looking at analytics almost all day long, I think you're onto something here, and that is Google Chrome takes over as the top web browser globally, and Firefox, its shares shrinks.
This is a compound prediction. Now, obviously, web browsers and web platforms, this is why we talk about mobile platforms, this is why we talk about social media sites, this is why we talk about web browsing software, and that's because those platforms, they impact business communications and they impact new media marketing. Those things are important for people in this space to watch because those things have real ramifications. Here's the deal. Right now, depending on what numbers you look at, it appears as though Chrome might be the global favorite browser, but it's by a tiny margin. Internet Explorer is number 2. Firefox is number 3. Here's what's going to happen. Internet Explorer is going to not be on that list anymore. Firefox is going to drop, and the disparity between all the others and Chrome is going to become a much wider margin. So right now, if Chrome is between 27 and 30% of market share, and Internet Explorer is maybe at 35 and Firefox is at 20 something, you're going to see that disparity. I'm going to say Firefox and Internet Explorer are going to be 20, 15 or less, and all of that is going to go to Chrome. I think you're going to see Chrome more than 50% of web browser market share by the end of 2013 globally.
What about Opera? Nobody ever talks about Opera.
Opera is going to hold on to what it has.
It's nice little 2%
It has
niche.
like its little 2 to 3%. It's going to stick around there. I don't think the Opera users are going to go anywhere. Number 9 is a little bit controversial. Well, it's a compound one. Some of the elements of number 9 are controversial, but some of them are not.
Interesting. So I guess this one would go into an Android direction, and that is the new iPhone is simply called iPhone. And yes, the screen gets bigger and also uses operating system level data to push ads to you, which Android does do now with some of their applications. So.
Sure. So the numbers get dropped in 2013. There will not be an iPhone 6. It will simply become iPhone. And they'll have models, etc., just like all the other Apple computers. There's no MacBook Air 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will simply become iPhone, and yes, sad to say, the screen gets bigger, which, by the way, is a prediction I made about every iPhone. I've always been right so far, so why stop that run now?
Until it's like 40 inches. And, hello!
Yes, until we have like the iPhone 16 and it's like 32 rows of icons. Now,
surgically,
right?
Hey.
Yes. The key thing, though, is the operating system level integration with Apple's mobile ads platform. Not only will you be pushed ads and pushed targeted content directly to the device, but OS level data and things you enter into the device will be used to track you and will be used to generate ads and content for you. That comes down to emails you send and receive. It comes down to entries you make on your calendar. That comes down to the items that you search for. That comes down to the people in your address book and the numbers you call most frequently and what types of those numbers are. Here's an example. If you call Domino's Pizza every Friday, Apple's going to give you Papa John's ads. That's going to happen in 2013.
Unfortunate. There's not a Papa John's near me. I only have Domino's.
Well, it's going to happen. And well, maybe they'll give you something else because they're going to geographically track you too with that.
But I don't use an iPhone. I'm a BlackBerry.
They're going to geographically track you as well. So I think the tracking and the ad platform are integrated to the OS level. Right now, it's in apps, games, and of course, they track you in the browser, things like Apple Maps. But it's going to be OS level, and they're going to use all the data you bring in your phone. They're going to use all the data in iCloud to track you and generate ads and content for you.
That is the natural progression of where
2013 is the year.
10th prediction, the last one, and this one I definitely disagree with. Although I'm usually wrong at these things, so nobody should even listen to that.
Lucky for me.
I know. And that's BlackBerry Renaissance as the professional smartphone, finally. Don't agree with it. So tell me why I should agree with it.
Okay, all right. 2013 is the year of the BlackBerry Renaissance, and it will be revered as the go-to professional smartphone. Now, before I can tell you what the conditions are that lead me to believe that this is true, there are a number of cold, hard, undeniable facts that I need to let out there first. And that's because there is a lot of negativity surrounding research in motion in the BlackBerry platform. And I have some information about why that is that I'll reveal in a moment. But here are facts. Right now, as we sit here today, BlackBerry still has the #2 largest grossing app store worldwide, period. The gap between the app store for the iPhone and BlackBerry App World is a big gap. It is. But BlackBerry App World is #2.
It beats out Android.
It's more than
Google
4
Play.
times bigger in annual revenue than Google Play. Okay?
Well, admittedly, App World has less free apps.
It does. It does. So it is the second largest grossing app store. Here's what RIM has in their favor. Say what you want about RIM. Say what you want about declining market share. This is still a company with size and breadth. This company has an $80 billion annual balance sheet. They have enough money to solve any problem. They have enough money to do whatever the hell they want. They're an $80 billion company. Experience. RIM has still shipped more smartphones than any other single manufacturer ever, period. This summer, they hit the 200 millionth handset. That's twice as many that Apple's ever shipped.
But they've had twice as long to do it.
Experience. They have. BlackBerry is still #3 in total US market share. They are still #3 in global market share. They're still #2 in enterprise deployment. They're #1 in emerging markets, which means if you take the US and the UK off, BlackBerry is still #1. Q2 sales of 2012, very disappointing. That disappointment to me, 100% meaningless. All smartphone sales dropped. BlackBerry sales went down 25%, iPhone sales dropped 21%. You heard a lot about this big drop. You didn't hear about iPhone sales decreasing by just as much. In Q3, here's another thing that the news forgot to tell you. BlackBerry sales completely rebounded, making up all of the lost Q2, while iPhone sales continued to drop. Last fact you need to know, Jaguar Financial, Victor Albolini, he's a principal trader for Jaguar Financial. He's a self-proclaimed research in motion activist shareholder. I've speculated this all year, but it came out just before Thanksgiving. This is a guy that has been running negative press campaigns about research in motion to the news, many of the stories getting picked up. This guy has just been suspended and fined for misconduct related to research in motion, and it has been uncovered that his company, Jaguar Financial, Their motive, obviously, to spread this news about dissatisfaction with RIM market share and stock prices is to drive the stock price down further in order to make a purchase of Research in Motion.
Pump and dump. It
was a pump and dump. This guy right now, he's no longer allowed to trade, and he was fined some $600,000 for misconduct. So those are facts that we need to acknowledge first. So what I need to say is, in the whole smartphone spectrum, there is room for more than 3 players. There is room for more than 3 players. Research in Motion has reinvented their company. Every time analysts would say, oh my God, they're laying off hundreds of people. Oh my God, they're consolidating this department. Oh my God, they're firing these people. They're closing this building. All this stuff, the news is going ape. I'm cheering. They're freaking out. I'm cheering. This is a company that is radically restructuring themselves. It is a much needed move. BlackBerry will never be the #1 smartphone ever again. I'll go ahead and say that right now. BlackBerry will never be the #1 smartphone again. And that is because the people buying smartphones have changed. The people that buy BlackBerries and the people that buy iPhones are not the same person.
Not at all.
A smartphone is a consumer good now. When BlackBerry was riding that wave of being #1, a smartphone was not a consumer good. This was a professional tool. Most of them were enterprise deployment. BlackBerry, I believe, is going to regain that position. It's going to start in 2013. It's going to be the result of BlackBerry 10. The App Store growth does continue in 2013. The gap between BlackBerry and iPhone and Android gets narrower.
So what will be the #1 phone in 2013?
2013, the #1 phone's the Android.
You think it'll take over Apple completely?
Easily. Easily. That's not the essence and spirit of this prediction, but...
No, that's a bonus.
But what you're going to have is you're going to have BlackBerry continues to be #3, but the gap gets closer. You're going to see an Android, iPhone, BlackBerry world, and then you're going to see that trend is going to continue across the globe. And the reason is because of who uses the device. The basic principle, the philosophy that drives the development of the BlackBerry is radically different from the philosophy that drives the development of the iPhone and the Android. Actually, I'll dare say the philosophy that drives the development of the BlackBerry is the same philosophy that drives Windows Phone. But between those two, what it will come down to is the execution of that philosophy, which one's better for me. The philosophy is the same. It is more of a professional tool. It is a productivity tool. It's designed to put the user in control and be quick, you're in, you're out. That is the driving principle behind Research in Motion's development.
Tools, not toys.
Tools, not toys. So you're going to see the BlackBerry Renaissance happen in 2013, and it will be revered as the gold standard of a professional communications tool, professional smartphone. Will it be the one your kids want? Will it be the top one for apps and games? Never. But the BlackBerry Renaissance will happen in 2013.
I know we've had this talk before about RIM and all that, and it kind of goes with they talk about RIM releasing this new phone, and if it fails, they're going under, and all this like just rhetoric around it. Mm-hmm. Whereas you look at Microsoft, who finally goes into the tablet game, 5 years too late, and releases a phone, it's doing horrible.
And releases an operating system that's 5 years too soon.
Yeah, that nobody likes.
Yeah.
And nobody's really saying it's the end of Microsoft, but RIM, it's over. Put the nail in the coffin.
That is something that's really, there's a major rift. You're right, John, for pointing that out, and that's because if you look at market share, U.S., global, anywhere between Windows Phone and BlackBerry, BlackBerry handsets outnumber Windows Phone devices probably 4-1 or better.
I know 2 people, I think. Well, one person that has a Windows Phone,
mm-hmm.
you know him. One single person with a Windows Phone out of everybody I know.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so honestly, the negativity in the news, don't trust everything you hear and follow the money. Every time the news quotes an analyst, check to see what their affiliation really is, and also check to see if their company is a big BlackBerry shareholder that will benefit by driving stocks down, so they could buy the rest of it up and sell it for cash.
A healthy dose of cynicism.
Use a healthy dose of cynicism. And whenever you hear of an activist shareholder, the first thing you have to know is they're not a reflection of the whole. But you're absolutely right. If you look at the other devices have a much tinier market share compared to BlackBerry and Research in Motion, and you don't hear any of the same things that you hear about Research in Motion. So they're still number 3 in the US, they're still number 3 globally, second biggest app store, number 1 in emerging markets, number 2 in enterprise deployment. Those trends continue, the rankings continue, but the margins get a lot smaller and the reputation makes a big shift in 2013.
You don't always have to be number 1 to stay in the market.
Again, this is a
company.
company.
You just make the most money at number 1.
You may or may not make the most money at number 1, but keep in mind, this is a company with an $80 billion balance sheet. This isn't some company that's losing money hand over fist or can't sell their product. But as I said at the onset, from time to time, analysts say unfounded things, and Forbes quotes them. So don't believe everything you read. This company, by all intents and purposes, is doing great. They're acquiring other companies to enhance their technology, and they're building in OS level features that no one else frankly can touch right now. Is that going to be mainstream? No, I don't think it is going to be mainstream, but they're working on focusing on their core that are professional productivity users who don't want apps and don't want games, even though apps and games exist. I play apps and games. I have Angry Birds on my BlackBerry too. Not that they don't exist, but the primary purpose for buying that device isn't because of those things. It's going to be for the productivity and the time-saving tools. And then, like me, at the end of the day, if I can play Angry Birds, great. But I'm not buying the device because Angry Birds
That
works
is why I
best
got
on
this
it.
bad boy.
Yeah, it's exactly the reason. So,
email works awesome.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the new BlackBerry 10 devices. I will be first in line. Someone said to me a couple days ago, "Will you camp out?" And I said, "Yes."
Why? You're
I'm not going to have to. I'm not going to have to camp out, but I told them that I would camp out if I needed to. I have one bonus prediction.
Oh, a bonus prediction. So you didn't send it to me. I don't know what it is.
I didn't send it to you. This is a bonus prediction, but this is for my friends in the radio biz. As many of you know, I spent 10 years working in the radio industry. I retired from radio as a radio program director, and this one is a bit shocking and a bit controversial.
It is. This is pretty nuts. And number 11, the bonus. Clear Channel will have big layoffs this year. That's nuts.
2013, Clear Channel, the largest owner of radio networks, it is going to be a bloodbath.
Whoa.
I'm saying bloodbath.
Why?
They are, it's not because they can't compete, it's because they have evolved to a point where a major reduction in force is going to be necessary. I think they have operated far too long with their staff heavy. They've been so far too long. They can do what they're doing right now with 20 or 30% fewer employees. And 2013 will be the year that they do that. I'm not saying hundreds, I'm not saying thousands, I'm saying 20 to 30% reduction in force. It's going to be a major, major deal. So if you work in broadcasting, if you work in radio, this is not a year to be resting on your laurels and maybe not making any big purchases. Clear Channel is going to have a bloodbath this year.
Ooh, that's bold.
Might be a little controversial, but that's what I'm going with.
I don't even remember hearing ever about Clear Channel having large layoffs.
Never very large. They usually what they do.
Very minor.
They'll have small layoffs, they'll move people around the country, they'll have a reduction in the force in the East Coast and offer you to relocate into, Midwest or whatever else, but this year is going to be the year it'll be national headlines.
Interesting.
Yes. Also, what you started to see in the broadcast industry is there's been a lot of shift in favoring smaller, more independent broadcasters, and that has had some effect on Clear Channel. So those are my predictions for 2013. I guess wish me luck. And people are welcome to comment on the blog or hit me up on Twitter or Facebook and keep me honest. So as they come true or totally don't come true, I expect to be called out.
And they can even make little videos and yell at you on YouTube.
They could.
And I have a login to your site, so I will post them on there.
Thanks, John. I know you will. But yeah, feel free to comment or react in some other way if you agree, if you don't agree, if you think something else will happen. But as we go, as 2013 progresses, keep me honest.